in 1995, a mate of mine rung me up and said, "Tim, you've got a bike, don't you?" Which I did. And he said, "Our cyclist has pulled out of the Noosa Triathlon. Can you do the bike leg?" And I said, "How far is it?" And he said 20k, which it wasn't, it was 40. And I said, "Well, I guess." I said, "I haven't ridden my bike in about a year." He said, "Well, it would really help if you could help us out." So I went, "All right, let me just go for a ride and make sure I can ride 20k. So I went downstairs and pumped up the tyres and scraped the cobwebs off and went out and rode 20k, and I thought, well, I can ride it. And we did the Noosa Triathlon. So when I rocked up, I was unfit and I found out it was 40k, so that was interesting. Anyway, we did it, and the whole atmosphere of the Noosa Triathlon just grabbed me. So I was 25 years old, and it was just the most incredible feeling being around all that energy and all the fit people and the festival. And I thought, I've got to give this triathlon a crack. So I ran always, you know, as you do, and I rode. And I thought, all right, I can't swim. So the following day, I thought I'll go to the pool and I'll just swim 50 metres to the other end of the pool. And I remember I took off like a bull at a gate, and I got to halfway up the pool and I'm clinging onto the lane rope thinking, holy shit, I'm going to drown. I couldn't even swim 50 metres. And I got out and I thought, well, maybe this triathlon thing isn't going to work. But anyway, a couple of days passed and I'm stubborn, and I thought, well, I'll have another crack at it. So I went back to the pool and I managed to swim 50 metres. Now, my problem with swimming was I couldn't get my breathing in sync. So I never could, I could stroke and kick and move, but I couldn't breathe. So I was basically swimming 50 metres holding my breath. I just couldn't work out how to sort the breathing out. And so I kept going back to the pool and I just swim 50 metres, rest, 50 metres, rest, 50 metres, rest, and that's all I could do. And I reckon that went on for a couple of months, and I entered my first triathlon. So the first triathlon, I think, was late January, so it was only probably 3 months after the Noosa Tri. And this same mate who got me to do the team decided to do triathlon also. So we did this race and we took off, and I couldn't even do freestyle. I'm doing backstroke, side stroke, breaststroke. And I managed to get my way through the swim. It was 400 metres from memory. And when I got out of the water, I looked behind me and there were two behind me. And I was like, yes, I beat two people out of the water. So I remember it, it's like, oh my God, as if I just won the race. Anyway, jumped on the bike, and come from a bike background, I just smashed the bike, and I think I worked my way into about third place. So I went from third last to third, and I'd never run off the bike. So took off on the run, and my legs just buckled under me. And I remember looking down at my legs thinking, shit, I've busted my legs, there's something wrong with me. I now realise it's that running off the bike. And after, I don't know, 500 metres, a kilometre, I managed to sort of stagger through the rest of the run. I think two overtook me, so I ended up 5th in my first race. I thought, geez, this is all right if I can just learn to swim. So I persevered and persevered. And I remember one day I was swimming with my brother, who's a good swimmer, and we went to the pool, and I swam my 50 metres, and I thought, I'm feeling all right. And I turned and I swam back 50 again. I ended up swimming 200 metres without stopping. It was the longest I'd ever swum freestyle. And from that day on, I'd sorted my breathing out. It was just perseverance. I just went regularly, and one thing led to another, and I kind of learnt how to swim. And I kept going with it. And then my swim, actually, I was told by a coach early on that the way I hold myself in the water is pretty good. My stroke's not too bad. I kick pretty well. My legs don't sink. So once I sorted my breathing out, I actually took to swimming pretty well. And I would regard myself as a above average age group triathlete swimmer, if that makes sense. And so I got stuck right into triathlon. I got obsessed by it. So the following year come Noosa, I had this idea in my head that if you want to be a good age group triathlete, you got to break 2 hours. So I thought, I got to break 2 hours. So I rocked up, did a bit of training, and did 2 hours and 3 minutes for my first Olympic distance. And I thought, geez, that's all right. Again, I didn't really know how to train. I'm a bit of a slack ass when it comes to training. So for the next couple of years, I was obsessed with breaking this 2 hours. So the following year at Noosa, and obviously I did a lot of other races, I went back to Noosa and I did 2 hours on the dot and like 20 seconds. It broke my heart. I was so close. And then the third year of Noosa, I did 1 hour 59:36. So I did it and I was stoked, and I ran 35:18 for the 10K off the bike. And I remember running out onto the run, looking at my watch and quickly doing the equation in my head and thought, I've got to run a 35:45 or better if I want to break 2 hours. Now, I had never run that quick for 10K, but I just thought that's what I got to do. So off I went, and I did 35:18 and broke 2 hours, and I was stoked. But then what happened, I think, is I set this goal and I achieved it, and I think from then on, I kind of lost a little bit of focus. It was only 3 years doing triathlon, sub 2 hours, and then I just kind of got a bit lazy, I think. And I did the odd race, and I just sort of fart-assed around. So let's jump forward 26 years to now. So I started at 25, now I'm 53. I think I'm in my 6th age group. And I've always done triathlon. I've never really not done it, but haven't done it seriously. But what I can't do anymore is wing it. So what I used to be able to do is go for a couple of runs, go for a few rides with my mates, go to the pool, maybe do a squad. And I was young and maybe genetically suited to triathlon. And I did that sub 2 hours. Now I feel I train twice as hard to go twice as slow. So as you all now know, I have a coach. And the program's fantastic and I'm loving it, and I'm wondering why it took me so long to get a coach. But not only is the coach great, but I don't have to think about what I'm doing, because every morning I'd wake up, right, I'll go for a ride, might go for a run, but it's there, the program's there, you just stick to it. And I stick to it religiously. Now, I started this triathlon, this program with Jackie 8 weeks ago, but we've been away for 8 weeks, so the whole program up until now I've been on the road, which is fine, but it is awkward sometimes when you're living in a van to organise a 2-hour ride or whatever it is, but we did it. But now I'm home, and I just spoke to Jackie, and she said, Tim, now's the time to challenge you. Let's see how much you can handle. And I just looked at my program, and it's pretty intense. So this next week is pretty full on, so I'm going to take the GoPro along with me, and I've got a few tests, as in bike tests, heart rate and all the rest of it. So I'm going to take the GoPro and show you what I do in a week. It's about 10 hours of training, which is a lot for me. And let's see how I go. Let's see if Jackie can find my limits, because my first off-road try is in 4 weeks and I really want to have a crack at it. So this is where we're at, and that's basically my story from the beginning of triathlon to now. Thanks for watching, guys.